Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you may be in the world. Welcome to today's conversation on Gift of Healing TV. Sorry, I'm getting confused with other programs and I've done another one this evening already. My apologies, but it is evening with me. I'm also joined by one of my co-presenters. Sadly, Patricia isn't well enough to join us this evening, but David, welcome.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight.
And we are joined for our program this evening. Now, our guests always get to choose the topic. The art of laughter, art and chocolate for overall health and wellness, with our guest, Sara Routman. Sara, thank you so much for joining us today, for agreeing to join us today.
Oh, it's such a pleasure to be here. I only wish we could be in a studio so I could show you some of the wonderful things that we're going to talk about.
No, that would be brilliant. But you know what? I love the fact that technology allows us to do this. So
yes,
we are so blessed. We really are. But Sara, share a little, because obviously that's one heck of a topic. The art of laughter, art and chocolate. Forget about the health and wellness bit, but that's really
right.
important as well. But share a little about yourself and why this particular topic.
Well, I want to underscore the health and wellness, because even though we're going to talk about all these things and how fun they are and what is involved in them, it's amazing to me how they all have fit so nicely into the health and wellness package. So I became a laughter yoga leader about 20 years ago. And laughter yoga, for those who don't know, is laughing on purpose. I like to call it purposeful, playful laughter. We laugh with intention because we want all the health benefits of laughter. And there are so many. And laughter helps us with stress, anxiety, depression. It helps with inflammation and pain in the body. It gives us increased oxygen flow, and it increases our blood flow. It helps with energy and focus and creativity. And so laughter is what I spend most of my time doing. But I always, back when I was studying poetry and photography, when I later became a high school English and drama teacher, even as I later ran 2 nonprofits and was a leadership instructor at the University of Minnesota, always, whatever I've chosen to do, I've always made a point of doing things that I love doing. Because somewhere along the line, it occurred to me that if you're going to have a job, that means you're going to spend more time at that than probably anything else. So I wanted to be happy to get up every day. And so I've always surrounded myself by things that I love. And I do believe that that is part of what keeps us healthy. And if you think about being present oriented and being present in the moment, that happens most when you're in the zone, when you're doing something you love so much that everything else disappears. And that's how I feel about laughter and chocolate and art. So we can talk about the chocolate part later.
Yeah. Oh no, we'll bring chocolate into this. But just to let you know, thank you for sharing. We have got Jill, who says hello from, now bearing in mind I'm in the UK, David's up in Scotland. So MN, not sure what that means, but
that's Minnesota.
That's okay. Minnesota. So Jill's in Minnesota and says hi. Yvonne just says hello, everyone. That makes it so much easier for me. Michelle says
you haven't got a guess.
Michelle says hello from, now I'm not sure how you say that. DECATU.
Decatur. It's Decatur, Georgia.
Ah, right. Okay. So love to you, Sara. And then
hello, you guys.
And Joan says, yay, Sara. Hello from Washington, D.C. I can get that one.
Oh, very nice. Yes. Okay. Well, hi, you guys. It's really nice that you tuned in.
It's lovely. And folks, if you've got a question or a comment, something that you want to sort of share, please just write it in the chat. That's what the chat's there. And it's lovely to have you all with us. Sara, I love it. Laughter. There's that saying, isn't there? Laughter is a smile that burst.
Oh,
and
yes.
I love that. It really is. And we just got to think how we feel when we smile, and then just that energy when we end up by laughing. And providing that laughing isn't at somebody, it's thinking about when we do these things and how we do these things and what's going on. But laughter is absolutely something that is so good for you. And yes, and it's sometimes it's just a matter of, actually, I need to take a deep breath so I can keep laughing.
Yes.
But it's a great way of emptying your lungs as well, isn't it?
Yes. Well,
not
laughter is an exhale.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's not something that we're really good at, is that deep breath and that complete emptying of the lungs. So if we can find something that is nice and easy that also supports us, then that really is. So hang on, we've got Yvonne says, I'm calling in from Lake Wales, Central Florida. Okay, and Sarah knows this because we messaged today. Oh, the laughing right now, given the wars, and the disaster,
yes.
Absolutely. Joan, we all totally get it. We're not, I don't think we're laughing because these things are happening, but we are. It's the laughter to keep the energies high. The higher we can keep our energies, the more we can support the people actually around us.
Well, I think there's also every Monday morning I do a laughter call. And this Monday, everything was really raw with the war in the Middle East right now and all these terrorist attacks. And I had to really explain, no, I don't feel like laughing right now. And yet I do feel like a need to laugh, because when we intentionally laugh, and even if you put on a funny video to help yourself laugh, that's perfectly fine. When we do laughter yoga, there's no judgment. And so we're never laughing at something. So it's not that we're making light of the situation. We're saying, I know that I'm holding so much stress in my body. I need to find a way to let it out. And the laughter really helps you, partly because you get very intent and present in the moment. But as you mentioned, smiling, just smiling, if you can't muster the laughter, smiling sends endorphins to your brain and sends cortisol out. And so the laughter is a tool to help you feel better in your most stressed, most unhappy time. And it's a little bit counterintuitive. On the one hand, we have such a strong association with laughter and humor that we think, oh, I shouldn't laugh because there's nothing funny. On the other hand, it's like, wait, I'm so stressed. I'm holding so much in my body. Let me just laugh some out. And it really does work.
Yeah. David.
Yeah. I want to, we got a time lapse. I want to, as you spoke, it was taking me back to a time I said to you, I moved over to the Netherlands, and I think it was maybe 2010, 2011. Myself and my partner at the time, we were walking through the park in the middle of Amsterdam, the big park in Amsterdam. And we were walking the dogs, and then across the lake, across the big pond, this lake, we could see loads of people. There was a little radio sitting on the bank, and there was loads of people rolling about laughing. And first of all, it made us smile. So it's so contagious, that energy, even if you didn't know what was going on. And we're going, that must be a really funny program on the radio. And all my years, I'd never come across, laughter yoga.
That was probably it.
Across the other side. That was, and we're going. And then every Tuesday we went down there. There was this group of people just laughing their heads off. So my curiosity got the better of me, and we had to go and ask. And that's when we found out that they were doing laughter yoga.
Mm-hmm.
But it was so contagious, even from the distance on the other side of the lake, sort of thing. That energy was coming through. And like you say, that laughter lifts your spirit.
Yeah.
And it really does. And if it's lifted yours, it's going into the global consciousness.
Yeah.
And then that's creating a lighter vibration for people. As you say, there is so much going on in this world. We need a bit of a break from the heaviness.
Yes.
And this was just breaking things up.
Mhm.
And it was just, in fact, and I'd never joined in, but we used to go down to the park and just sit on the side and get that feeling to go
Yeah.
in.
No,
I
it's
didn't
true.
have the confidence to do it myself, but it was just such a fun energy. And it, as you say, it lifted.
Mhm.
And that can do so much for yourself, but also putting that vibration into the global consciousness. It's
Well,
got to help.
there's also research that indicates just thinking about laughter, just thinking about it, anticipating that you're going to laugh or remembering a time that you laughed, even that can bring a smile to your face and bring those hormones into your body that make you feel good. And the truth is, most of us can recall a time that we laughed so hard we felt amazing, or many times, and we might not remember what caused the laughter, but we do remember the feeling. And so laughter is something that we should tap into as much as we can, because it gives us those feel-good chemicals. It also helps us stay away from stress and anger, and it helps connect us with other people, which is really an added bonus. And especially, I think we're still all feeling a bit isolated and a bit lonely, and more people are living alone. So laughter is a great way to connect with other people too.
I remember years ago, I think I must have been having a blood test or something, and I was in the cubicle, and it was just, and there was a little poster up, and it was something about smiles are contagious. Let's start an epidemic. and
Yes.
that was beautiful. And I know when I'm doing these programs, I smile a lot, and I sometimes laugh a little bit as well. And it's not because the topic is funny per se. It's about what energy do you bring to the table. And we can go into the sad. Yes, we can. And as you said, when you think of all the floods and the fires and everything that's been going on, and there's been earthquakes, haven't there? And there's talk about a volcano that's thinking about erupting. There is so much going on, the natural and obviously man-made stuff. It's awful the way people are being affected at the moment. But for quite some time now, with things like Facebook, they have all these little emojis that you can click, and I will not click the anger. I'll click the care or the love, and I will occasionally click the tears because it is sad, but I will not put the energy of anger out there. You almost wish they could take that anger one out. I've said to people, I won't click the anger. I may not like it. There may be a part of me that really wants to click the anger, but I am not going to add to the anger.
Well, and laughter helps us diffuse anger even in a moment. Like if you're having a fight with a spouse, my sister uses this with her husband. If they're, in a place where they're not exactly happy with each other, she'll look at him in the eyes and she'll reach out her hands and just say, "Can we just laugh for a minute?" And they literally set a timer, look at each other and laugh. And you can't be angry and laugh at the same time. And what's wonderful about this is it then shifts your energy so that at the end of the minute, they can go back to what they were doing, but they're not the same people now. Because in this minute of laughter, they've taken stress out of their body. They've put all these wonderful chemicals. They feel good. So even if they want to deal with whatever it was, they're going to deal with it in a much kinder, much more compassionate, much better way. And she said it works wonders. So, I mean, it works with kids, with spouses, with friends. You just, grab hands and just give a little bit of laughter. It feels so good.
Yeah. And I suppose it's like putting water on the fire.
Mm-hmm.
You put that out. And I was going to say, when you've had these laughing fits, you change.
Yeah.
You are not the same person.
Right.
when you come back from that fit of laughter, whether it's 30 seconds or whether it's a good 5 minutes that you can't stop laughing, you are not the same person. So much heaviness feels as if you're lifted and your heart is more open. I don't know whether that explains it right, but it's just, God, you're like a free as a bird after that laughter. Tension has gone, all the in your body is gone, whether you're in an argument or not. It shifts so much energy that weighs us down, doesn't it?
Well, and it's interesting because I used to teach English to high school students. And of course, I'm a writer too. But just writing my own practice, just writing in a journal at a moment when I was so upset, so frustrated, so angry about something. What happens is when you take a pen or a pencil and put it in your hand and put it to a piece of paper, there is something that happens in your mind. And so I would just write. And I always would write in my journals as though nobody was going to read it. I could choose to share it later if I wanted, but it was just for me to get it out. And I literally could feel it leaving my body, going onto the paper. And as I would write, I would feel my brain shift. I would feel my perspective changing so that I could see it differently. And I think that when you use creativity, and that would be writing, that would be photography, that would be painting, and I'll talk about the painting in a minute, but I really could feel a difference in my body. And I think that when we feel ourselves so stressed, it's so important to have something that you love. Maybe it's gardening. Maybe it's taking a walk outside and being in nature, whether it's an art form or just being somehow, but know what you love so you can go do that. And I know people exercise when they feel stressed. It's a similar thing because that exercise gets rid of those stress hormones and puts those good hormones in your body. And I have to say, once I started painting, just sometimes I would look over at the table. It could be 2:00 in the morning and I really am tired and I really should go to sleep. But, oh, look, there's my paint over there. And you just start pouring the colors and looking and watching. And it just lifts you. It really shifts your perspective.
It takes you out of the humdrum of life. I actually find that with jigsaw puzzles.
Yeah.
I really do. But just like chocolate, they can be addictive.
Addicting. Yes. Chocolate can be very addicting.
Yeah. But that's what I find with jigsaw puzzles, especially when you get to a certain stage. It's just like, just one more piece. Oh, just another piece. And it's, no, I've got to have a cutoff time and I will have to come back.
Right.
But it's finding those things. And absolutely, having a smile on your face doesn't mean that you're belittling the stuff that's going on around you, what's going on in people's lives. We've got a heart. We really have. But if we can help people to themselves move beyond, it's very difficult because, I will sort of say to people, especially if it comes to sort of grief or sort of something, it's just like, all right, well, sort of, there's arnica, there's the homeopathic remedies and it's like, no, I don't want anything that's going to take the grief away. It's not about taking the grief away. It's about helping us to incorporate it more lovingly in our lives, I suppose.
Yes, well, I think
way of putting it.
Yeah, I think it's about taking care of yourself, right? So like when you're grieving, you still have to take care of yourself so that you can grieve, so that you can integrate it, like you said, into your whole person, because I don't think you ever get over grief, right? You don't forget about a person that you love that is gone. You just integrate the fact that they have died into your current psyche. And I would say there's two things I think of. One is, I don't think that we can be fully present to anyone in the world, in our immediate life, to a spouse, a friend, a neighbor, anyone, until we've first taken care of ourselves. And so when we think that
Absolutely.
we're smiling or laughing or eating chocolate or doing a crossword puzzle, that's self-care. That's helping ourselves so that we can then be sort of rejuvenated. And now we can go out and be more helpful to somebody who's having a problem, or to our friend, or be supportive to our family. So I think there's that element. And the other thing is, no matter what's going on, we have to stay present. The reason I think laughter and crossword puzzles work, they take all the conversation that muddles us all the time, that's all the problems of the world that are weighing on our shoulders, and if for a moment or a few moments we leave all that behind, and it's part of that self-preservation, we take care of ourselves so that we can then go back, and then those problems are still going to be there. And there's a wonderful Japanese art tradition called kintsugi. And most people probably are familiar with this, even if they don't know the name kintsugi. But it is when pottery breaks, instead of throwing the pieces of pottery away, they fill the cracks with gold lacquer. And the idea is that we don't throw away our problems, or we don't throw away our mistakes or our flaws. Instead, we fill them with this beautiful gold that is a little bit transparent, so we can see through it a little bit. And the idea is that we are all the collection of all of our life experiences, even the bad ones. But if we find the beauty, then we can find a way to keep going, and we integrate all of that with us. So
I think that's lovely. And yeah, absolutely. I love that artwork. You know, nothing's wasted. The broken part has shown that it's been on a journey. And I think we have so much going on around us, as you say, and so much we take on board, not just our own things, but everything, because it's bombarded to us day after day. If we put ourselves in that position, then we're carrying all of this as well as all of our own. And we're not built for a lot of the things that we're being asked to carry or get involved in. We are not built that way, but it kind of comes on if we allow it. So we're not only going through our own stuff, we're trying to go through stuff that really at the end of the day we cannot deal with. But if we deal with it from within, then it releases it. And then are we not healing not only our stuff, but are we not healing the stuff that's come into us that is not ours, and we can't physically go and say, I want this to stop, or go and build a dam to stop the flooding. But if we raise that vibration, that's going in to help everybody lighten the load and be able to maybe a little bit clearer in themselves what they can do to help. And you are helping by bringing in that laughter and that joy from yourself. Have I explained that correctly?
I think so. I think we all bring, one of my favorite quotes by Irving Berlin is, life is 10% what happens to us and 90% how we respond. And so for each of us, it's going to be a different response. But when we pay attention to, okay, what can I do? And sometimes there's a way we can help, and there's something we can physically do to make a situation better. But if the thing is happening to us, it's still upon us to find a way to integrate those things that are difficult and make it in a way that we can deal with it and even make something good out of it. And I just think when we pay attention, being aware is very much important.
Yeah.
And
Ivana said, wow, listening to Sara gave me chills, the good kind. I just wrote a blog post a few minutes ago, and the title is Writing for Emotional Clarity and Growth.
Oh, yes.
And she's followed this on with, sometimes just giving someone our smile can be the only one they receive that day. And for a moment, their spirits lightened a bit. Wouldn't you say? And absolutely. And while you've both been talking, and especially if you're thinking about the gold in a broken pot, it reminds me of a little story there is about the water carrier. and he's got 2 buckets that he fills every day, but one bucket's got a crack in it.
Mm.
And I don't know whether you know this story, but by the time the water carrier gets back home, he's got a bucket and a half rather than 2 full buckets of water. And one day the bucket says to him, I don't know why you persevere with me. You know, I'm flawed. And he said, haven't you noticed that on the side of the path that you're on, I've planted seeds and you water those flowers.
Yes.
So I can pick flowers and put them on the table.
Oh.
We are all perfect in our own way. And
Yes.
if somebody's smile and somebody's laughter can support us to realize that, are we really flawed? I don't believe so. I believe we're perfect for the life we're here to live. And if we can bring that with a smile, even if it's a smile that never bursts, it doesn't matter. It's that smile, it's that energy, it's those endorphins that releases to raise our vibration. And we can help others to raise their vibration. And stories can be a brilliant way of sort of telling things. But when you were talking about that, it was about, but there is perfection.
Right.
It's just not necessarily perceived by some as being perfection.
Right. Well, and when we get bombarded by images in the news and social media posts and of all the things that are going bad in the world, we are psychologically addicted to negative things to a degree. I mean, there are studies about that. But I think often I will share paintings because, or photographs, because, oh my gosh, I'm inundated with all these things. I need to put something beautiful out there just to see it, just to feast your eyes on something else. And that I want to say a word about the chocolate too, because on the one hand, you know, I know people do a lot of eating, like when they're depressed, they'll eat bad things and you know, comfort food. I like to use chocolate as a proactive, as opposed to perpetuate, you know, bad habits. I celebrate every Thursday as Chocolate Thursday. And that's just like an excuse to say, oh, today I'm going to indulge in chocolate. I'm going to put some in there. Now, dark chocolate is healthier than other kinds of chocolate. And I'm lucky. I love dark chocolate. But the point of the chocolate is to have a chocolate meditation, to like really experience the chocolate with all of your senses. And don't just shovel it in, but look at it and hear it and smell it and feel it, and then feel it again in your mouth as you taste it. And I just think finding things in your life that you love, that lift you up, will help lift everyone else around you. And it's not to belittle the bad things in the world. For sure, they need to be addressed and we need to find a way. But sometimes you have to just step away from them, find these other things. And then when we feel like we can, then we can go back and figure out, okay, how am I going to deal with this? What can I do? But if we don't take care of ourselves first, we'll never be able to.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. David.
Yeah, I think the word selfless comes into there. And we have to be we're not being selfish, but we have to be selfless to take care of ourselves, because there's no point in us being down here trying to help somebody down here. We're not going to go anywhere. You know, we have to be in a slightly better place, however different that is, so we can help bring people up. But you was talking about, you know, tasting the chocolate, being with the chocolate, and also touching on being in the now and getting away from all the stuff. And I've just started, was it 2 weeks, some mindfulness practices, and I'm learning mindfulness.
Yes.
And that's the biggest thing, is eating with mindfulness.
Yes.
Or drinking a cup of tea with mindfulness. And you put everything else out there, you know, that is not necessary. It's only the tea that you're focusing on.
Yes.
But boy, doesn't it make you feel so different?
Yes.
It's like you've shedded all this load and you've cleared things just by simply mindfulness, having a cup of tea or having a meal in mindfulness. And these are the simple things. And then when you come back, you think, I can now deal with this. I've got more clarity, because you haven't got all the rubbish, shall we say, or all that distractions coming in. And just simple things like that. And in sitting, enjoying your cup of tea, sitting, enjoying your chocolate, you know,
I think
it really
when
makes a difference.
when I studied mindfulness, I was absolutely taken with how it really takes in everything, because it's about being aware, even as simple as, okay, my mind is wandering. Okay, bring it back to be aware of your breath. And as we look at everything, if we can pay attention to our breath, if we can pay attention to the moment and whatever it is that we need to focus our attention on right now, and the more you practice any kind of mindfulness, the more you become more observant about everything all the time. And so it's a snowball effect where you start to do one of these things and then it carries over, which is great, because then you're in a better place most of the time. So
I must admit, sort of, you sort of say that people are addicted to negativity, and I think you're 100% right. I know I'm not. I have spent so many years. I actually had 4 years of no television at all. But then, okay, that was fine because I was living on my own, so I could do that. But sort of obviously when you're sort of sharing a house and you've got other people and they want television and whatever, so you get. But my whole thing is, I don't listen to the news. I don't read newspapers. You know, occasionally if I'm in the car, I've got the radio on, and then but it is so occasional. It's just like, no, I can let go of all of this. I get to hear and see what's going on in the world. I may not be aware of everything, but by putting yourself on a negativity diet, and I suppose that's what I've done over a number of years. That is why I can say I am no longer, if I ever was, addicted to negativity, to the negative news and the bad. And literally today, we've got a little road at the side where we get into the back of our house, and then we've got a main road at the side of that. And my friend Trevor came in and he said, there's been an accident outside on the main road, and a girl on one of these motorized scootery things or on a bike or something. And from what he was saying, it sounds like she hit the car rather than the car hitting her. Then there was a horrendous thud, which meant obviously she was hit in some way. I think we ended up with 5 police cars or something, he said, out there, an ambulance out there, the air ambulance sort of around. But I did not, it wasn't a matter of, oh, I've got to go and look, it was so, it was just like, but then when I went to go for a walk, and I was going in totally the opposite direction, gratefully, but I saw other people in the street and everybody was, and he said that there were sort of 20, 30 odd kids, all with their phones out, all with their cameras. And it's just like, what is it that people have to be like that? And it really was about me distancing myself. And I'm one of these people, I ask the angels for their support. So it's that joy of sending in hopefully some beautiful supportive energy against all the other negative energy that was around, because it will have been negative energy. And that's really sad.
I'd love to see a day of news that was only focused. You could have a headline that there's a problem, but then let's hear every good story that happened as a result of this. You know, like, what are the things that people are doing that are good, that are helpful? And I think, you know, we need to hear a lot more of that.
So. Yeah, absolutely. Got a couple of comments here from sort of Jill, and I love the fact that everybody's being so interactive with this. So thanks, folks. raise our vibrations by focus and change our attitude. So I suppose that's what I've just said. My focus was, I am not listening to the news. And it's amazing the difference it makes, but the laughter, it all does. I'm not sure I quite understand this. What is our possible for our happiness? So I don't know whether Sarah, do you understand that? Because
say the sentence again. Let me hear it.
She says, what is our possible for our happiness?
Well, I think what she's saying is we have to know what makes us happy, and then everything is possible if we tune into those things. And we need to think about the possibilities. You know, if we want to be happy, what are the possible ways to do that?
Yeah, yeah. And start with a smile and see what follows.
Yes, that's great.
always a great one. Negativity diet. If joy is missing, it's time to readjust. Yeah.
No, for sure.
It absolutely is. And or more good stories. So yes.
Right. So, well, one of the things that that sentence that you just said about start with a smile and see what happens. There was a study out of a hospital in Texas, I think. It was a 2-week study, and they asked the staff if they came within 10 feet of each other, they had to make eye contact. And if they came within 5 feet, they had to acknowledge each other by saying good morning or hello. And just that little change, smiling and making eye contact, they found for at least 6 weeks after, the entire trust level of the hospital changed. The patients were feeling happier and more interactive. And so, you know, if you think about it, when you smile at a stranger on the street, if you've captured their eyes, and they almost always will smile back at you, and you might have just made their day, because we all tend to feel a little bit invisible, especially with cell phones and, you know, keeping our head like this. When you smile at someone and acknowledge them, what you're saying is, I see you, and you have a shared moment, and it's a really wonderful thing. So you never know what can happen.
David.
I think that's right, especially after the past 2 or 3 years.
Yes.
That has really taken its toll, even on people that say are aware and are working on that. It's taken a toll on everybody. Mm-hmm. And that feeling of isolation, we are not meant to be isolated.
Right.
We're meant to share with our emotions. That's what we are. And we need to share those emotions. But we were isolated and become isolated. And it really took people away from that community. And some people, are still living in that isolation. Right. And so, like you say, even at that time, I used to walk around and nod the head and open the eyes and say, you know, good morning or good afternoon, because as you say, that could be the only human contact that they've had during that day. Right. So it's not only raising the vibrations, it's helping on emotional levels, shall we say, for people.
Right.
And that is so good. And these simple things are really the most powerful. Just to do the simple things, right. You know, as you say, a smile, a good morning, or a hello, or an acknowledgement that they're there.
Right.
You know, it's just really so important for human nature, for us to feel good. And it's not a case of making yourself feel good, but having that connection back where somebody acknowledges you as well. It just makes you feel so much better. And it's the simple things in life that everybody can do to make them feel better and make their life more enjoyable. We don't have to go out and do big, complicated things, but the simple things in life can be so much better for everybody.
On the side of my car, I have a magnet that says, a big magnet that says, have you laughed today? And I will often have strangers in the parking lot or even on the street. They'll point to the thing and give me a smile or a laugh. And in the parking lot, I've actually had conversations with some people. And it's amazing how you can connect with another person just with a little question like that. And people want to be not alone in their lives. So
Yeah.
It was lovely at the weekend. I sort of spent the weekend up in Liverpool, but there was a huge conference going on up in Liverpool as well. So there was a massive police presence. I mean, a huge police presence. And sort of my sister and I were sort of walking down sort of we'd not long got into Liverpool itself. We were walking down sort of this road, and there were there was a policewoman and a policeman coming towards us. And I got a big smile on my face, and I saw the smile on her face. And okay, he didn't smile, but he did say as he went, it was a grunted, but it was a good morning. It was just a matter of, I have absolutely, and then we went and sort of spoke to another different policeman and sort of asked a question because we weren't too sure where we were going and all the rest of it. But it was that I wasn't smiling. I've got nothing to hide. I have no problems with any of that. They're human beings. And so by having that, just that little something, that, because you can bet that there were an awful lot of people that weren't particularly pleasant to some of them, because there seemed to be authority, but they're human beings. And actually, to my friend Trevor, he was ex-Met Police, so sort of, and a lot of people look at him the way, because he does dress quite formally and whatever, and sort of, but but we are all human beings, and that's the important thing. And I know I think we could go on forever, but let's more touch, because there's the laughter and the smile, absolutely really important, but touch into the art, because I think that's about finding the joy in something. Doesn't matter whether we're good at it or not, but finding the joy.
Right. Well, that's one thing. People judge themselves before they ever get started. Oh, I'm not artistic. I'm not creative. Everyone is creative. Even if you never pick up a paintbrush, you're creative in the way you decided to make dinner or set the table, or we all have creative parts of our lives. I have found painting in particular. Well, I guess let's go back and start with the photography. I learned visual photography. I was never very good at the technology part of it, making the correct exposure and all that. My professors even said, Sara, you have a good eye. The technique is another thing. But I tend to see the world through a camera lens. So when I'm out walking, I'm like, oh, look at that, look at that, look at that. Sometimes my friends get a little annoyed because I can be a little bit slow on that. But looking at the world and trying to see it almost from the eyes of a child. A child is curious and filled with wonder, and I'm watching my grandson look out the window, and he's looking at the leaves rustling, and that's new to him. Well, when was the last time we as adults just looked out the window and watched for a minute as the leaves rustle? So art, I think, can take us kind of out of ourselves and into another place. But in terms of the painting, there's something about watching color and combining color and watching the movement that helps express something. I mean, if you study anything about color, then you'll know that different colors represent different things. And sometimes we make a subconscious choice. Sometimes we make a conscious choice. Most of the time in my painting lately, I'm making a conscious choice. Ooh, I like this color. What will it go with, today? But I have done a thing where after following a laughter session, I've asked people to do some painting. And it's so interesting, the colors that they choose, because they tend to be, bright yellow, orange, red, because they're feeling so uplifted. And the first time I did this with a group, after laughing for 15 minutes, then we painted. They loved that, because it was an opportunity to take this one experience that they had and now interpret it and transfer it into another experience. And I think art is an opportunity for self-expression. And you don't necessarily know what you're going to express till you actually choose the color, or, choose how much paint to use. Are you going to do something abstract? Are you trying to be realistic? Personally, I never try to be realistic because I can't do that. So I on purpose choose to make it not symmetrical, because I know if I try, it's not working so well. So if I on purpose don't try to be symmetrical, then it's all okay.
David.
Yeah, I think you saying we're all creative, and we are. Every single person on this planet is a creative light being or human. We have all that creation inside. And I think we tend to forget that. And when we do come to anything like art or anything like that, we start judging. Are we as good as the person next door or whatever? And I say to people, well, if the old artists like Gainsborough, Picasso and Monet and all these started judging against each other, oh, I'm not as good as him, I'm not good as her, then we'll have no art on the wall whatsoever. And we are here to create and bring that inner out, and it will make some people laugh, it will make some people enjoy, it will touch some people's heart, and there'll be other people it doesn't resonate with. But you're and that's fine. That's the same with everything in this world. But if we can just not judge ourselves, create what we want and put ourselves out there and just go out, and it will touch people that it needs to touch. And that, getting that creativity out is going to make you feel better instead of holding it onto inside, whether it's paint, whether you splash a bit of paint on a canvas or, do wax art or whatever it is.
And even hair and nails and makeup, cooking, those are all art forms. I mean, my daughter makes beautiful food. It's not just about the fact that it tastes good, but she arranges it on a plate and it looks beautiful. And, people who help us by, doing hair, makeup, nails, clothing, just if you are a person who loves to put different kind of colors or styles together, just bringing it out there, you're expressing yourself. You have no idea how that is going to affect someone else. And often, again, if we're paying attention, if we open our eyes with curiosity, we see things that we might not have noticed before. Even somebody painting their car, they added a stripe or they added something. It's their self-expression. So I think art, if you just allow the artistic in you, the art in you to come out however it comes. And it could be just the way that you walk to the door, So, I mean, I happen to love all of the arts, but I think expose yourself to more so that you can experience more of life. And it doesn't have to be, you don't have to go to a museum to do it. There's lots of ways to just look around and appreciate the world. Sometimes I think the best art is just like right now I'm looking out my window and there's this blue sky and a little bit of a green on one tree and now green and yellow on the other. And just that's just beautiful art, just noticing it. It's about noticing.
Yeah. And I think I adult coloring. Great. You can do so much with that. And I do occasionally do that. I really do. But art is so much more. Woodwork, working with glass and the different colors of glass. And so there is just art, there is just so much. I'm just sort of thinking about, I don't know if you get it up in Scotland, but the program called The Repair Shop.
Yes.
And those people, the things that they actually, the experts who are able to repair these things, the guy that does the clocks, that's an art form, the way he's able to repair things. His sister actually works with leather. And she's definitely from the horsey side of things, the saddles, etc. But it's amazing, and they've got so many people. Yes, they've got the lady that conserves the paintings, etc. But they've got a lady that can put pottery and bits back together again in a way that you wouldn't even know they'd been broken. That is still an art form. there is so, and don't restrict yourself. What is the art of writing poetry? The art of so much. Just, and if it's photography, whatever it is, it's just what speaks to you.
Yes.
I've done so much knitting. I've created some blankets. I'm the one who designed them from knitting, and I did them all with different colored triangles, so that you can put the triangle going that way and then going that way, and sort of, and they're all different colors. And
beautiful.
So art comes in. So it's sewing. There's all sorts of things, and crochet you can do. So yeah, tap into that. And sort of, I've had a couple more comments, because then we have to think about. If you see someone without a smile, give them one of yours. Dolly Parton.
Oh, nice.
Absolutely, that's a beautiful saying. Thanks, everyone. This was an interesting discussion. They need to be prepared for another appointment. Absolutely. At this once already this evening. And she's saying thank you, Sarah. So sort of,
sure.
And thank you to everybody there, because we are getting close. And I think we could really continue. Is there anything more, Sarah, you'd like to add about chocolate before we sort of? Art, I think we've covered, and the laughter we've covered.
Yeah. No, the only thing about chocolate, I happened to meet a wonderful man. His name is David Greenwood Haig. He's out of England. He's an award-winning chef and chocolatier. And I met him on Clubhouse during the pandemic, and we became fast friends. He really is a chocolatier. He's made chocolate. He's traveled all around the world. He knows all about the history of chocolate. And so I learned a lot of things about chocolate from him. And I would say, whatever it is that fuels you, whatever interest you may have, whether it's art or writing or photography or laughter or whatever, the more you can zero in and look at some people who are experts and learn more about it, the more fascinating it is. I mean, I like chocolate because it comes in shiny wrappers and it tastes good. But the more I learned about the background of chocolate and how it's made and what it was thought to be at one point and how it's evolved, and that you can just have sipping chocolate. You don't have to have hot chocolate that we put lots of, milk and things in, but there's just chocolate by itself, and how healthy it is. It just fascinated me. And so I like infusing art with my laughter. I like infusing chocolate with my laughter. I have found ways to have laughter exercises that are in those themes. I always try to educate people a little. And my message really today is about, find something that you love. And if you can't think of anything right now, then find some things that you're curious about and go explore them. And maybe one of them will become something you love. But when we take care of ourselves by surrounding ourselves with the things we love, then we are taking care of ourselves, and in taking care of ourselves, taking care of other people and the world. And whether it's painting or chocolate or laughter or something else, I hope that everybody finds their chocolate.
Thank you so much. David, any final words?
Yeah, I just want to say it's been such a pleasure to hear your views and be able to take all this on board and understand so much. But I just want to say, after tonight, everybody's got a creator somewhere within them.
Yes.
Every single person. Never think that you are not a creator. You are a creator, and you just got to link into that. And that's going to raise the vibrations, not only for you, but for your environment around you as well. Yeah. And look how finding that creator within yourself can make you so joyful. Even that one simple thing. And it doesn't have to be a massive, I make 20,000 feet statues or sculptures. Right. They can be the smallest of things, but they can make you so happy. So find your creator, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. And
Thank you.
and I am so grateful for this. You know, Michelle says this was wonderful, very uplifting, and that's what it's about. That's the perfect word, isn't it? It's about being uplifting and being uplifted. You know, sort of, it's for ourselves, but it's the energy that we put out there, and actually, the energy we put out there is what comes back to us.
Yes, so much so.
And so, if we are going to be putting a smack bang load of negative energy out there, don't be surprised if we have a whole load of stuff, negative stuff happening to us. Whereas if we're putting that beautiful, loving, laughing, yes, and happiness isn't a thing we find outside of ourselves. It's finding it inside of ourselves, and we can create it within ourselves. You talked about choice, I believe, at the beginning. It is our choice. What are you choosing, folks? And I know that my choice is not watching the news. It's to release that negativity from my life. Let it go. You know, we can have stuff that happens. You know, and I had a flat tire a couple of months or so ago. I had to wait 5 hours for somebody to come.
But I hope you did something wonderful in those 5 hours.
I was stuck in the car at the side of the road, and I had the number of people that said to me, "Oh, Sarah, you know, I can't remember what the word, if it wasn't trauma, but you know, you went through." And I thought, no, I didn't. I absolutely, because I didn't put that energy into, hadn't got a book. I couldn't put the radio on for fear of a flat battery. I couldn't do anything.
Right.
But I still got through that 5 hours.
Right.
And it wasn't a trauma of any sort. It was just like, I've got to get on with this.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And
no, it's important to remember the choice.
Yeah, absolutely. So I could have absolutely chosen to be totally stressed about it. It's our choice. So Sarah, thank you so much for joining. David, thank you for your input. I have put Sarah's website addresses up in the chat, although I have the feeling most of you that are here this evening know Sarah already, but they're there. So www.laughhealthy.com, and I haven't done the capital thing, but yes, I agree wholeheartedly. It's so much easier if you can through Sarah's eyes.
Yes.
I will put, if you're watching this on YouTube, or you're watching the replay on YouTube, you will find all the website addresses for all of us underneath. So, and if you want to connect with any of us, please do. If you want to comment under the video, I tend to get notified. Please do. I will respond, and I will make sure my guests, or my co-host and my guest, are aware of those comments under the video, because actually we love to communicate.
Yes.
So
thank you so much for this conversation. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I really appreciate the opportunity to hear from both of you and just share a little bit of wonderfulness out in the world.
Absolutely. Thank you to you both. Next week, we've got a Thoughtful Nuggets and Pearls. And myself and Angelina are going to be sharing light language. We'll talk a little bit about it, but we are also going to both be sharing some actual light language. So I hope you will join us for that. Thank you to Sarah. Thank you to David.
Thank you
to all of you participating this evening. See you soon. Light.
Bye-bye.
Bye.